It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do. You do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend, it's NFL Draft Day, and we welcome you to our Thursday's podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host with his opinions from left field. You can always identify with what's being said if it's off the charts. John Riley, he joins us here. And we welcome you to this very interesting day in the world of sports. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. You got projects, they've got materials, you want ideas, they can be your best friend. Go to DIXIELINE.com to check out all the things they have to offer. Take a close-up look at the tool displays on DIXIELINE.com. And by Our Lads Draft Guide. It's draft day in the National Football League, but you still have your opportunity to place your order to subscribe to the draft book. I call it must-read reading, and you can get a copy of the book, or you can get the digital copy, which then is in your computer going forward. All things about the NFL draft, courtesy Our Lads Draft Guide. John Riley, what a great day. There are not enough hours in the day to talk about all the things that we're going to talk about today.
This is like a big, big day for a lot of people, not just the players and coaches, but the fans too.
Yeah, just a couple of reminders. We do sports talk the way it should be done. Topics on the table, then opinions. When we are done, you're invited to pull up a chair, take over your part of this podcast. We call it Fans Forum. John, just tell people who are new to the live stream how they actually get involved with the podcast right at the end when we're done with topics on the table.
Okay, yeah, if you got a question, a comment, or maybe you just want to make a prediction on who's going to be the second or third pick in the draft. So drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, X, or on Facebook, and we'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Also, I write a lot of sports every day. We did something different. We have redesigned my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Want you to sample it for the best 15 minutes in sports and my one man's opinion column. You tell us, thumbs up, thumbs down, you like it. I guarantee you it's really different. I'm struggling navigating it, but you'll really like it because it's simple. John Riley's the one that helped us redo. So that's the website. Also, subscribe. When you subscribe and become part of Hacksaw's Insiders Group, you get 2 newsletters every day that John and I put out, one in your inbox in the morning, another in the inbox late in the afternoon. It's absolutely free. Join the Insiders Group. You can help make us grow this thing a great deal. Hey, where's that thumbs up button? Where's that follow button? I want you to hit it. And if you're on Apple, give us a 5-star rating. Do it right now. It really helps us grow this podcast. John, it's NFL Draft Day. Full disclosure, I had a tough decision to make today before I came on for this podcast. What should I wear? Should I wear the only piece of gear that I have that was given to me by a member of the Raiders organization? Should I have worn anything silver and black, to celebrate the draft and maybe the quarterback they're going to take to lead him out of the wilderness? Should I wear those colors, or should I wear this? And before anybody criticizes me for anything, I'm wearing this because I was proud of all things we did when I was a longtime voice of the Chargers, including going to the Super Bowl. I'm wearing this because I love the lightning bolt, the logo. Period, exclamation point. It's got nothing to do with ownership, nothing to do with all the other junk. So, tough decision. Wear the bolt? Wear the silver and bleak? Nah. I chose this. Full disclosure.
You're always going to be associated with the Chargers. I mean, it's part of what makes Hacksaw special. And plus, it's show me your lightning bolt. And there it is, right there.
Plus, these are the anniversaries of the days that we created something on Sports Talk Radio nobody will ever forget. NFL Draft Central.
Oh, you guys did a great job.
9-hour broadcast day, the days of the draft.
There was a lot of pre-production, some of those vignettes for all the featured players. You guys worked hard.
We staggered through that, and we did a really good job. Nobody's ever been able to duplicate it. Nobody's ever been dedicated to do it.
Who was it? Was that Pat Curran, Bill Warndell?
Jim Laslovic. Chet Forty did 1 year with us. Joe Tutino did all the biographical sketches of all the players on draft.
Bulldog.
Yeah, there was a lot of work. So, anyhow, I'm wearing this in honor of the Lightning Bolt when I was the voice of the Chargers because we loved doing Draft Central. Loved game day, obviously. Went to the Super Bowl. John, let's get this thing off and running. As Roger Goodell would say, on the clock.
On the clock. Yeah, we got picks, trades, and rumors.
Yeah, let's just go topic by topic. I'm going to ask you to respond. You got a football statement, question, sound off. Fans Forum chat box is now officially, you're on the clock, open for business. Historical footnote. The draft is being held in Pittsburgh. Great city. Great football city. Do you know the draft was invented in 1935 in Pittsburgh?
Oh.
At a meeting at the Fort Pitt Hotel by the owners of the then National Football League in its embryonic stage. They decided to hold a draft based on the standings to make everybody competitive on a year-by-year basis. Now, this was before scouting combines and any of that. I've read stories the owners back in those days, in 1935 or 36, 37, were drafted out of a book. They have a guide. Football magazine. That's how they would draft. Nobody had scouts. I mean, it's so refined now. But 1935, Fort Pitt Hotel is where this all started in Pittsburgh, where tonight's draft is. Okay, storylines. We think we know who the Raiders and the Jets are taking, picks 1 and 2. Fernando Mendoza and his 41 touchdowns will go to the Raiders. It looks like Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese at number 2 will go to the New York Jets. And then chaos. Nobody has any idea what the troubled Arizona Cardinals are going to do. They need so much help. Do they take a running back? Do they take Love from Notre Dame at running back? Do they take an offensive tackle from Miami? Do they trade down and stockpile more picks? What happens at 3 impacts what happens at 4. Tennessee needs a lot of help. If J.D. Love is available, do they take the running back at 4, or do they go offensive tackle to protect their quarterback? Do they go defensive tackle to go get another stud? So what Arizona does at 3 impacts what Tennessee does at 4. I don't think Giants get impacted because they're going to get a great player at 5. I mean, think about John Harbaugh walks in, inherits the quarterback, the running back, 2 wide receivers, bunch of guys in the offensive line, and the Giants are going to score a big-time player, probably on the defensive side of the ball, sitting there at number 5. So keep an eye on what happens with pick 3, because if that domino falls a certain direction, it's going to impact everybody else. 6 teams, we're told, are still trying to make trades to trade up. We're told there's at least 5 teams that are trying to trade back to stockpile draft choices. And if one strange domino falls early in the draft, it changes the whole draft. And then there's the Ohio State factor. Buckeyes could have 4 of the top 7 players taken on the draft board. I've hardly ever seen that before. The mock drafts that I've surveyed and I've tried to average them out, I got 17 defensive players going in the first round. I got 10 offensive linemen going in the first round. 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 3 wideouts, and 1 tight end. I mean, this is a very different defensive-centric draft. This is going to be fascinating to see what happens. Now, one other item here. Let's just talk for a second about the makeup of the draft and what teams do. New breed of general manager. Very different from old school football, where everybody was my draft pick. We've always done it this way since 1935. We're going to continue to do it this way. New breed of general manager. I don't care about number 1 draft picks. I don't care about that veteran player. I'll trade him too. I didn't draft him. You failed with him, etc. So it's very fascinating to see how the landscape of the NFL draft has changed. So, John, that's first topic. I threw a lot at you. You're on the clock. Give me your response. You agree with me that if one domino falls differently, this thing is going to be upside down?
Yeah, that's part of the fun of this, is that when you see a team take someone unexpected and all of a sudden everyone kind of scrambles. But I just was thinking about the history, and sometimes you'll see like those old photos or the old video montage where they're in the draft room, they all have those football helmets with the telephone on the helmet, or even though back in the day, like Pete Rozelle, like up on a big like whiteboard, that they use like black electrical tape and make a grid. And so it's interesting how the draft has really become such a huge event. And I love all of the things that they do in the broadcast where they're going in the back room and you'll see the players there with their family, maybe with their girlfriend. And then there's usually a little drama there. If someone doesn't go when you expect them to go, like when we had Aaron Rodgers waiting out there for seemed like forever until he got picked. So there's just a lot of interesting drama and emotion in this day, but it's definitely a must-see TV.
Historical perspective. So on Sports Talk Radio, we would go crazy on Extra 690 with Draft Preview. Would have every draft editor who had a mock draft on in the 2 weeks leading up. We did a lot of in-depth investigation. And I was laughing about this because I started this concept of doing draft previews back when I worked in Cleveland.
And what year was this?
Oh, this had to be in the late 70s, early 80s. So I'd do my own mock draft, and I'd go pick by pick, etc. And I had 1 year, and I can't recall the year, I hit 14 picks in the first round.
Holy crap.
I thought I was... I knew what I knew, and I had all my contacts were feeding me stuff. So,
I am bleeping brilliant.
Yeah, damn right. So the next year, we're getting ready for the draft, and I'm doing this draft preview, and I project how the whole first round's going to go. And the draft starts, and the Dallas Cowboys traded from the back end of the first round to get the number 2 pick that was owned by Seattle. Dallas traded for what would be Tony Dorsett.
Ah.
And you talk about dominoes falling off the table.
Oh, yeah.
So the year prior, I hit on 14 picks. The Tony Dorsett draft, I hit on 1. Because the Dallas trade into the number 2 spot to take the running back, nobody thought they'd take that early, changed everything in the whole first.
Well, you probably got the order right of the players or close to right. But, yeah, which teams got him, the whole thing went nuts.
I got 1 pick.
Okay.
I said, yeah, you should shut your mouth. But no, I'm not shutting my mouth.
I would imagine like DraftKings and some of those prediction markets probably have tournaments for this. A pool. Yeah, exactly. So it's what's the correct term? Cottage industry. It's become a big thing. No, the NFL draft, you remember they used to always have it at Radio City Music Hall?
Yeah.
And all the Jets fans would show up and they're all emotional about who's getting picked. So, yeah, this has just gradually built up over the years. And I know ESPN, when they were in their infancy, they really grabbed a hold of this event because they were desperate for content.
Well, the draft at one point, I think, was on a Tuesday. I remember laying on my couch watching 2 guys, Paul Zimmerman from Sports Illustrated and maybe Bob Lee were the anchors on ESPN. They were sitting at a card table.
Yeah.
And he's reading out of his book, Paul Zimmerman, longtime NFL guru, draft writer, and that was their draft show. And they might have a graphic over the shoulder. Now the technology now is so unbelievable. So it's cool. Anyhow, that's enough history. Let's go from the trade rumors to second topic on the table. Who's going to get rich?
Yeah, look at these teams. Got a lot of picks for the Raiders.
Okay, the Raiders, we have 3 of the first 67 picks. So we know it's going to be Mendoza at quarterback. Most critical aspect for Raider football is what happens with the 36th pick. There should be a really good offensive lineman there. Can they get the right guy? And then obviously to the draft defense, the Jets. What a bonanza. The Jets have 3 of the top 34 picks, and keep this note. They have 3 number 1s next year, John. I mean, the Jets can be god-awful up until tonight, and they need to hit the jackpot on everybody, but they got 3 of the top 44 picks. The Giants, by virtue of that trade they made with Cincinnati, I think Harbaugh flips this quickly. They're drafting 5, 10, and 37. Cleveland, which is desperate for offensive linemen, desperate for wide receivers, could get both very early. Browns have 3 picks in the top 39. The rich, who had a lousy season last year, Kansas City, rich are about to get richer. Chiefs have 2 number ones at 9 and 29, plus the 40th pick. Jerry's world is going to be active. They stay at 12 and 20. They draft defense. If they move up, they draft defense. And Miami, which is in total rebuild mode, you talk about ground zero, the Dolphins with new leadership, they got 3 picks. Now, overall, Pittsburgh's got 12 draft choices. Now, a ton of them are at the back end, but Pittsburgh's got 12. The Patriots, the Ravens, the Jaguars, Miami, they've all got 11 picks. And like I say, this is a very unique, great defensive draft, offensive line draft. So there's a bunch of people going to help themselves.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the 2 teams at the top of the list, the Raiders and Jets. I'm just thinking, man, don't F this up. Let's get it right. These 2 teams have just been buried forever.
Oh, yeah, bad. Raiders, bad draft picks. Thank you, John Gruden. And obviously, New York Jets' incompetence. They failed on so many quarterbacks. But they got 3 number ones next year, which is supposed to be the year of the quarterback.
Yeah. So let's see if these teams can turn it around. But, the Browns, that's another team that's been on the outs for so long. So hopefully they can get some talent too.
Okay, you got a comment on who's going to get rich? Fans Forum chat box is open. All right, let's run through top picks of the draft board. This is kind of a combination of the combines that I've gone through and the mock drafts that I've gone through from the in-the-know guys. Mendoza goes to the Raiders at number 1. He will be counseled by Kirk Cousins. The Raiders, I think, potentially have the ability offensively to really get better really quick. Now, the burning question with the Raiders, they spent a ton of money on defense. Did they invest wisely? How competitive are going to be? The Jets starting this rebuild, it looks like REESE from Ohio State, who's been kind of locked in as a top 2 pick, is going to be their choice. Then we get to what's going to happen. Which domino falls? Does Arizona take the Miami offensive tackle, MAUIGOA? But there's a report he may need additional back surgery. Is Arizona gambling on him? Do they know something nobody else loves? Or are they going to take the running back Love from Notre Dame? Or do they trade back, which they could do because they need help in a lot of positions? Tennessee, are they going to take David Bailey, outstanding Texas Tech inside defensive lineman? Or do they take Love, the running back, if Love is there? New York Giants. Now, some are of the opinion that if Love is there, the Giants are going to take Love. I disagree with that. I think they're going to take one of the Ohio State defenders. You got Dallas, Sonny Styles, linebacker. That replaces the Micah Parsons pick that was traded away. But Dallas could move up. Washington needs upgrades in offense. Some people have the theory that Love from Notre Dame is going to fall to them. I don't think so. But Cornell Tate, Ohio State wide receiver, looks like he could be at Washington if he's still on the board. New Orleans, pass rush guy. A lot of conversation about a deal. Ruben Bain. Now, Kansas City wants Bain, but Kansas City may settle for the wide receiver from Arizona State, Jaden Tyson. And Cincinnati, trying to fix its defense, has spent a lot of money on its defense, may draft an LSU cornerback, DELANE, there. So that's the way the top of the draft board looks from the mock drafts that I kind of put my computer and analyze. But something could change. Arizona does something different at 3. That sets off cannons a whole bunch of other places. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting, like the Giants. You're talking about how John Harbaugh is kind of walking into something that's pretty good, you know. But you wonder, like, if you're picking there at number 5 for the Giants, are you going to pick on need, or are you going to pick the best athlete available? Because they already have Scatabo, so why would they need Love? But Scatabo's coming off an injury, right?
Yep.
So, but he should be fine to start the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Harbaugh walked in the door and he inherited Jackson Dart, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Scatabo. the running back. Mm-hmm. He inherits a bunch of number one picks in the offensive front. They were dinged up. Inherits Neighbors, a wide receiver. They've developed some other wide receivers. But again, the Giants' choice is mandated by what happens just above them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Love falls to them. Love has just made such a great jump in terms of meetings with people and how he's viewed. I just have a hard time believing that Jeremiah Love is going to drop way down the board.
Yeah, this Sonny Styles guy, he looks really talented.
Player.
Yeah, and that's the kind of guy you can kind of see playing in Dallas. But, the Mendoza storyline is interesting because, remember, last year in college, he just sort of came out of nowhere. He was at Cal, but...
Well, he's competitive at Cal, but then he became game manager playmaker at Indiana.
Yeah, and he just kept getting better and better, and you're like, oh, look at this kind of interesting. It's Indiana, and they got this kid. But then I thought, well, the Raiders need to trade back. They need to get a lot more, talent. They need more roster spots with talented guys. But it just seems that as this offseason has progressed, the Raiders and really a lot of the NFL draft experts have all really warmed up to Mendoza and say this guy has all the skills. He's certainly got the winning mindset. He's a leader. I mean, so could we see him as maybe... could he be a guy that could end up in the top tier in the quarterbacks, 4 or 5 years down the road?
Maybe quicker than that, but they're not going to force feed him. It's like I think that the intangible with the Raiders is what do they do at that second pick? What do they do with the third choice? Because they need to hit the jackpot, as you said, on the subordinate need areas, offensive front, more defense. Now, they spent a lot of money. Ton of money to sign 6 starters, young guys on defense. Hopefully they didn't waste the money because historically they've always made a lot of mistakes, even in free agency.
Yeah, they do.
So that's fascinating. You're an NFL fan. Your reaction to what we have seen in terms of the mock drafts and who's going to go where, fans forum, chat box is open. We're not done because last night there was like a tsunami of rumors that just whoosh.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
We're talking about all of a sudden these trade conversations. People are trying to move dominoes, trying to get to the top to choose the player that they need or want, etc. Let's just start here. LA Rams, out of nowhere, come 3 reports in about the last 12 hours that the Rams and the Browns are talking about a trade in which the Rams would trade from 13 and move up to number 6, and they're going to take Carnell Tate, the wide receiver, Ohio State. Is that because of the Nakua personal problems, or there's Devontae Adams is on his last year? That, to me, seems to be a reach to have Tate go there. Rams are talking to the Lions about a deal. They'd swap first-round picks 13 and 17. The Lions would take Spencer Fano out of Utah. Rams would trade up. They're trying to get past some people because they want Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver from USC. So that deal is out there. Then you got the Jets and the Saints. There's a report out there that the number 1 pick would go to the Jets for 16 and 44, and the Jets would take Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State. Another rumor's got Dallas and Kansas City. Dallas would trade 12 and 20 to Kansas City. Chiefs would go and give up 9 and 29. Cowboys would take Sonny Styles. It would allow Kansas City to still have the chance to get Ruben Bain, and there'd be some draft picks swapping later on. Later in the first round, there's all kinds of rumors out of Arizona that Arizona would move 28 and 91 with Buffalo for 34 and 65. And what would happen would be Arizona would trade to the back end of the first round and take Tyler Simpson, quarterback from Alabama, who's gotten great reviews or questionable reviews. But, eye is in the beauty of the beholder. Arizona must like Tyler Simpson. So that's where we are there. And then, of course, we had veteran players that are rumored out there still to be traded. Do the Eagles move A.J. Brown before this draft to New England. Indy is shopping Anthony Richardson, the first-round draft pick quarterback, but they're never going to get fair value for him. They're trying to get him off the roster. So all of a sudden, the Rams, who have got a good history under Les Snead of drafting and trading those draft picks, the Rams are really interactive in terms of conversation with a bunch of people. So this is going to be fascinating to see what happens. They don't announce the picks trades until the clubs are on the clock. So I wouldn't miss the 5 o'clock hour starting at 5:15 when the sucker starts, because between 5:15 and 6 West Coast time, you may see some deals that impact the way the dominoes fall. Response.
Wouldn't you just love to be in one of the draft war rooms for any team, and because we hear these rumors about who's going to get dealt, but there's got to be so much stuff going down, and phone calls at the last minute. I just think it would be really thrilling to be able to have like a, just kind of be a fly on the wall.
Insider view.
Yeah.
But all this is planned out. These teams know the players that they rank and what they value. They also study what's just ahead of them in the draft and what this guy might do, and if this guy does this, how does it impact us?
If this, then that, yeah.
Exactly. Very seldom do I think there's screwball stuff that happens that's not been thought out. Now, you can think about it, but dude, you're on the clock. You can pull the trigger here.
Yeah, but I wonder if they get crazy phone calls when they're on the clock.
I don't think stuff comes out of the clear blue sky. Mm-hmm. There have been conversations all along leading up to this. Would you? What if I wanted to? Mm-hmm. So some of that stuff has been laid out. But understand this. This is a new breed of general manager.
Right.
I think all bets are off. I just don't think they're doing business tonight in the NFL the way they did it 5 years ago tonight. Surely not 15 years ago, and obviously not in 1935 when the draft was founded.
So no rumors on the Chargers? I mean, what are they thinking?
I think they're going to sit there and they're going to take, if you're asking me at this hour, Ortiz has a good draft track record, at least what he did with the Bolts for the first 2 drafts. He was the headliner. I think they take an offensive lineman that they could project, they can move inside the guard. I mean, there's still a whole pile of tackles. They're not going to get the elite guards. Those guys are going to be off the board, I bet, anywhere between pick 5 and 20. The Bolts are at 22. But I think they have studied industrially this big left tackle. Does he have the traits to where he could actually be moved inside the guard? I think that's what they do. There will be a run on linemen early. There's an alternative edge rusher. But the really blue-chip marquee edge rushers, I think, are going to be gone before pick 22. So if you're going to take a rusher at 22, that to me might be a reach. And, of course, the second pick is 55. At that point, you just take the best athlete available, maybe somebody in the secondary.
Yeah, they got to get O-line.
Oh,
I mean, they're
definitely
desperate.
I agree. Okay, you got a comment there about trade rumors? Fans Forum chat box is open. We're all things football today because we cover this like nobody else. We move on. There's more football stories here.
Yeah, we got some big gambles here. Love and Simpson and the kid from LSU.
Well, I wouldn't call Jeremiah Love a gamble, except historically, you don't take running backs at number 3. Maybe back in the day, Barry Sanders, Tony Dorsett, Emmitt Smith. You don't take running backs number 3. But Jeremiah Love is obviously a unique breed of back. That is big, that's physical, that is fast, that is guy who's got good hands. So I'll go back to what I said at the onset of this podcast. Arizona could take him at 3, which then changes a whole bunch of things behind them in the draft. But if he doesn't go at 3, maybe he drops as far as Washington. I think the Giants would probably bypass him. The Tyler Simpson story, we're talking about a 1-year starter. Big, physical, son of a coach, football smarts, but he's only been a 1-year starter. Is he a game changer or is he a game manager? So keep that in mind. The third one is the LSU quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. This kid had a great season in 2024. He was injured in 2025. It finally has been revealed that he had a major problem with a cyst on his back, and he finally had surgery in the offseason. All of his off-season workouts, whether it be pro day or the individual stuff, has been impressive. He may have pushed himself into the second round there. Other names to keep in mind, Makai Lemon, really good player at USC, but we're talking about personality quirks here, about why did you act the way you acted? Why'd you do this? So he's kind of damaged his rep a little bit. And a wild card name, nobody's talked about him at all. And I know it's not fashionable to say anybody 5'9.5" can play quarterback in the NFL. Diego Pavia.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Vanderbilt. I don't know why he's not going to the Canadian League, because I think he could be a mega star up there. But Doug Flutie was 5'9". He had a nice career in the NFL.
Yeah.
So we'll see if anybody late in the draft, come Friday or Saturday, takes Diego Pavia. So mystery players. I don't know if they're all gambles, but there obviously are some questions about certain guys. Do they fit? Have they grown into this? Are they healthy, etc.? Reaction.
I see Ty Simpson there, and I keep thinking, is Alabama like quarterback you? But it seems like a lot of the quarterbacks that have come out of Alabama have been just sort of, eh.
And the same thing with offensive linemen that have come out of there that haven't panned out.
Well, you think Ty Simpson kind of fits that mold, like Mac Jones. I think we had higher expectations of Tua. Mm-hmm. And then who else
Tua's hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt. There's a kid in Carolina, too.
Yeah,
Bryce Young.
But he's undersized.
Yeah.
Tua put up great numbers till he got hurt. He's never been the same since with the concussions and the hip issue.
Jalen Hurts counts, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of quarterbacks, but none of them are like lighting the world on fire.
No, Hurts is pretty good, but now this whole thing this offseason in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts is he coachable? Because they've kind of regressed or they've kind of stalled. They're coming off a year and a half of weird football in Philadelphia, despite the one-loss record. Okay, last topic before we get to halftime. The entire first half is about football.
Trouble brewing.
Yeah, let's just talk about, I don't know why they're doing this. Jerry Jones yesterday went public. They are not going to give George Pickens, a wide receiver, a multi-year contract extension. Wow. George Pickens, 16 yards per catch, 88 catches last season. Now, they franchise tagged him. 1 year, $27 million. They're not going to give him an extension right now. Now, either that's salary cap related, because the Cowboys are always up against the wall with the cap, or is it the maturity thing? Can Pickens do this for a second year in a row and not be a diva and be a distraction? But he did have a hell of a season. But they're paying CeeDee Lamb, the other wide receiver, lots of money. And Dak Prescott's making more money than God. So I don't know if it's cap-driven or it's personality-driven, but why would Jerry Jones go public the week of the draft and saying, no contract? And by the way, he is represented by the same guy that represented Micah Parsons, and we know how that contract dispute wound up. Interesting story there. New England, this won't go away. Now, John and I have talked about Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini, the New York Times athletic reporter who quit her job, relationship, whatever. I don't care. I'd rather see the coverage of the NFL, but this has become a media event because there's somebody that's feeding all these photos. More photos surfaced this morning. Now we find out this friendship-relationship may have gone on for 6 years. And now it's all out there in public, and it's like page 6 of the New York Post. Remind me not to read the New York Post anymore. It's all about new photos that obviously are being leaked. There's no doubt to me that Vrabel or this female reporter are being targeted by somebody, and now it's being leaked to the New York Post. This is kind of like the lowest form of yellow journalism. My God. Anyhow, Vrabel is leaving this weekend to go into counseling. So has Vrabel's credibility taken a hit? I don't think so. I mean, this guy's running down hallways everywhere who have affairs, wind up in divorce. Now, he may have a credibility problem at home, exactly. But this should not be a big story, but the media has to cover it now because of the salaciousness of it. Vrabel is going to leave the Patriots on Sunday to go into some form of, I would assume, marriage counseling. He confirmed that. We'll talk about that. Jimmy Garoppolo. The Rams are a little bit stunned that he's indicated, I don't want to play football anymore. You know, he's been in the league 12 years, which is amazing. He's only started 64 games. He's played well in spurts, but has been hurt a lot. Now he's kind of put the Rams in a bit of a hole in terms of a trusted backup if anything ever to happen to Matthew Stafford. So that impacts the Rams. They say they're not going to force the issue. If he wants to come back and talk to them about a plan, they will talk to him sometime into the spring around the OTAs, but they have to start thinking about, do we spend a pick to see if there's a gem of a quarterback we could develop and draft? Do we go back into this on a street corner? I mean, Russell Wilson and some of these guys are still out there. Do we do that? So that's going to be very interesting to see. So you tell me, you like Jerry. Why would Jerry Jones do this? You and Vrabel, huh? You want to follow the story at all?
It's just such a dumb story.
Geez.
It's like TMZ hacksaw.
Yeah.
You know? I don't want to talk about it. I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, we got NFL draft. What's your opinion of Mel Kiper Jr. and maybe some of the other sort of draft experts?
All 7,000 draft experts?
Like, are there certain ones that you really like?
I like all of them. Daniel Jeremiah, who's out here on the West Coast, is really quiet. He's not a persona. He does a really good job. I like his work. He's actually from Fallbrook. That's where I first met him.
Interesting.
So he's good. Kiper's unique. Kiper invented this whole thing.
Yeah, he did.
But he doesn't hit on a lot of his first-round picks. But because he has the venue that is ESPN, he's become a guru. He's loud.
I just see him once a year, and this is his day.
Oh, exactly. And he has obviously great knowledge and lots of opinions on all of his knowledge. Last year, I went back and I looked at some of the draft experts, and he hit on 2 picks in the first round.
Right,
That's Mel Kiper. But he built this thing, and that's his thing, and that's okay. You take it for what it's worth. And he talks to people, and he looks at an unbelievable amount of video. And
is there a Mel Kiper Sr. that we should know about?
Not that I'm aware of. Now, he's from Maryland. I don't know if his father was ever involved in football, but he's become a guru, a savant.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely put on that pedestal.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. But I like Jeremiah a lot. And there's a lot of other draft guys that are out there, and everybody's got opinions, so that's cool. But the draft is just, it has graduated so far from what it used to be on a Tuesday night on ESPN.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the fans, they show up, and they all dress up, and it's great how it's become like
an event.
It's a major deal. I mean, it's like winning the Super Bowl to a degree when the cities get to host it. And I know Pittsburgh, they've been sprucing up things. They've been kind of painting over the graffiti and getting ready to invite the nation in for the day. I think this is awesome.
When the league decided to move it out of Radio City Music Hall and take it around the league, last year they were in Green Bay. I mean, it's cool. You get to host it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. You know, and the young men, they come through that tunnel and they put on the hat and, you know, the whole thing. I mean, it's cool. You just see how they like to dress, and it's fun. It's a fun day.
The creative genius of Pete Rozelle. That's where all this comes from. Everything. The TV contracts, Monday Night Football, what the draft became, what it's grown into. That's all things NFL. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's a great event.
Okay, that's halftime. All things National Football League Fans Forum chat box is open. This podcast is brought to you by Our Lads Draft Guide. You still have time to get your draft publication. 200-plus pages of information, listing of all the players on the draft board, Our Lads mock draft, and the coolest part, I think this is the greatest thing the magazine has to offer, is the depth charts of every team in the National Football League going into the draft, and synopsis of all their positions and what they need, etc. And with Our Lads Draft Guide, not only can you still go online and order the hard copy or the digital copy, they will also send you a training camp book after the draft is complete.
Really?
Just like this. So you get 2 massive publications too. Go to ourlads.com. You can get the digital copy in your inbox tonight. It's must-reading throughout the course of the entire football season. OurLadsDraft.com. And at the same time, podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber. You got projects, they got materials. They got ideas, they can be your best friend, they can be a consultant. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Dixieline is there to serve you. But, John, Dixieline's known for lumber, plus a lot of other things.
Yeah, Dixieline builds Southern California. You know, they're a subsidiary of Builders First Source, which is the largest lumber company in America. And so you're seeing a video of a custom home being built. Half of Dixieline's business is to the trade, you know, to contractors, to builders, to framers, where, you know, you get the best quality lumber from Dixieliine as opposed to the lumber that comes from the big box guys. So, so many people in the trade depend on Dixieliine. But then to your point, Lee, a lot of people are do-it-yourselfers. Maybe they just want to do replacement doors, replacement windows. Dixieliine will set you up there. And they got stores all throughout San Diego County, been in business here for 100 years.
Go to Dixieline.com to see all the things they have to offer, and including the tools section for all your do-it-yourselfers out in the garage, in the basement, out on the back patio. Dixieline.com, the place to go. Okay, just a couple of reminders. When we are done, we've done all things NFL draft. We're now going to become baseball-centric when we're done with topics on the table, because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Topics and then opinions. You get the chance to take over the podcast. Want first-timers to join us. It's called Fans Forum. How does it work?
Fans Forum. Look at these guys piling in. We see Zippy and XX Revolution, Sports Fan, Bernard, who we're going to get to. Some people aren't happy with what you're wearing, Lee. We're hearing from everybody. Casey and Callan are in there. So we'll get you involved in Fans Forum. Just drop your hot take, maybe your NFL draft prediction into the live chat on YouTube, Facebook, or X.
And a couple of other reminders. John and I just reformatted, redesigned my podcast, and then did the same thing to the website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Punch it up. Check it out. Much easier to read, much easier to navigate. Maybe for you, I'm still struggling to figure out how to do it and how to get my stuff posted. But you get the best 15 minutes in sports every day on the website. You get my one man's opinion column every day on the website. And also you can register to get on our email list. John and I send out 2 newsletters a day to the sports fans. They're in your inbox first thing in the morning, and another one late in the afternoon. Join the Insiders group. Just fill out the email list there. I want you to share. Tell everybody what we do at 1:30 Mondays and Thursdays. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the alert on the YouTube channel when we put up additional videos. John and I are just addicted to doing all this additional stuff in addition to the podcast. And, of course, you can help us grow this thing. Where is that follow button? Hit that follow button. Want you to also give us a 5-star rating. That helps us a great deal, too, on Apple. Lots of ways to stay in touch. We move to the second half because we are baseball fans, too. John, you want to talk Friar baseball?
Yeah, the Friars, they're in first place.
My goodness. How is this possible? I know it's a small sample size. But here's a Padre team that's scuffling on the mound. It's like every starter has to grind to survive. It's a Padres team that's just not hitting the ball at all. And they're tied for first place with the Dodgers. You gotta be kidding me. Now, that being said, you play who's on the schedule. Thank goodness. The combined teams they've played so far are 15 games below 500, so they've beaten up substandard teams for the most part. But I'll tell you what, you look up Walker Buehler, Marquez, Vasquez, 3 consecutive starts, 18 shutout innings.
Incredible.
Just grinding. Now, Buehler got lit in his last start. Marquez is going to start down in Mexico City against Arizona. Vasquez, for the most part, has been really, really dominant. And then, obviously, you add in Waldron, knuckleball and all, getting banged around. Now, the Padres just made this deal. I was kind of surprised they made this deal. I think there's a rationale behind what just happened. Talking about the signing of Giolito. That's an insurance policy. Now, where A.J. Preller went shopping just before spring training opened and bought lottery tickets, Bueller, Marquez, etc., this is an insurance policy. I think there's a story behind the story. So, Luca Giolito, 1 year, $8 million. Now, this guy walked out on a $19 million contract from the Red Sox last season, and nobody wanted to touch him.
Isn't it $3 million?
Well, 1 year, 3 with $5 million incentives.
Okay.
A total of $8 million total. Nobody touched him for 4 months. He was the last pitcher out there. His career record was 71-66, 4.30 ERA, coming off elbow brace surgery a year and a half ago. But he did have a decent season with the Red Sox, but he walked out on the contract. He refused to pick up the option. He's given up 183 home runs in his career. A lot of gopher balls there, John. And I was saying, is he a difference maker? Might be a back-of-the-end rotation guy. But he hasn't been dominant for years. He pitched really well with the White Sox. Then he went to Washington and didn't do well, and then he got hurt, and he was in Boston. I just don't know where he is. What I fear, this is the backstory, I fear they felt they had to sign another body because maybe this Pivetta thing is much deeper and more concerning than they're letting on. And maybe Musgrove is so far behind the power curve, they don't know if Musgrove can come back and contribute whatsoever. And Canning is pitching, but hasn't been dominant. In his last rehab start, he was not good. So this might be an insurance policy move only because there's negatives attached to the other guys that I just mentioned. So that's the Padre angle to the story. What's your response?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by the signing and it, the timing as well, because it was right after the announcement of the new ownership. So it makes you wonder if they gave A.J. Preller a little bit of slack. You say, hey, here's a couple extra bucks if you want to get another guy. But to me, Lucas Giolito, it makes me think of Lance Lynn, just kind of a big guy, strong guy, but gives up a lot of bombs. But, yeah, I do wonder if something's cooking with Musgrove or with Pivetta. So, but anyways, they got him. The price was right. It's a nice depth piece, and so let A.J. cook. But as far as the team's going, yeah, they ain't hitting. I mean, right now, they're down 7-4 in the top of the seventh to the Rockies. And you're like, come on, you got to score more than 4 runs in Colorado.
Team batting average was 228 starting today. I mean, Tatis, no home runs. Manny, sub-200. Sheets, 212. Cronenworth, $149. I mean, it's just not the same offensive team, and I don't have any explanation as to why nobody's hitting at all outside of Laureano.
Yeah, well, who's kind of picked it up is Campusano. He's been hitting the ball really well. It's nice to see him finally relaxed and producing the way we always expected he would. It just took a long time to get there. But yeah, Tatis is 1 for 4 today in Colorado, and that one hit was an infield hit. So it's early, but it's not really that early. We're already in the second half of the first month of the season.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely stunned. You look at, say, first place Padres? You're kidding me.
Hey, we'll take it. I think, they've won exactly 2 out of 3, right? 16-8. I mean, that's a hell of a way to start. I mean, that's good. Hopefully they can keep this thing going.
Cheerleader.
Oh, I am.
Thank goodness.
There's always hope.
The collective teams are 15 below 500 that they've played.
Hey, just play what's on your schedule, man.
Okay. You can rationalize it any way you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, that guy right there, Randy Vasquez, he has been
a horse.
He's been great. I mean, what a great... We see progress every year.
He's growth.
And do you kind of... Now, looking back on the whole Juan Soto deal... How do you feel about it?
Well, Michael King was the guy.
Right.
Vasquez was a piece of the thing. Johnny Brito was there, and he got hurt and might never, ever pitch again. So that's...
Plus, we had the catcher with the Japanese last name. What was his name again?
Oh, yeah, Higashioka, but he's gone.
Yeah.
He was here for 15
He was
minutes.
good. I mean, he had some bombs.
I agree. Okay, that's all things. First place Padre baseball? You're kidding me. Let's go to the next topic.
Okay. We're going to go here. Talk Dodgers, Angels, bullpen setbacks league.
Dodgers tied with the Padres for first place. Dodgers have lost 4 of their last 5. However, Ohtani, dominant. 0.38 ERA, just absolutely amazing. No Edwin Diaz for at least 3 months. Elbow surgery, bone spur. Do you know they have spent $141 million in 2 winters to sign Diaz and Tanner Scott? Both of them with physical problems. Yikes. Please explain to me. They keep sending Sasaki out every 5th day. His ERA is 6.11. His statistics are staggeringly bad. Hits, walks, hit batsmen. Why not give Sasaki the ball in the bullpen? You know, his ERA is 6.11. His ERA as a closer last season, 0.78. Why is he not on the bullpen to become a closer now with the loss of Diaz? And he can continue to work and refine what's not working for him. Blake Snell, first start last night, rehab. Cal League, Class A ball, high school, college kids, draft picks, didn't get out of the second inning.
He starts slow every year.
1+ inning, 2 runs, 3 hits, walk, a lot of pitches. This is a long process here. Dave Roberts. I'm not going to say he's had a personality change, but obviously Dodger Blue has been injected into his blood. So this week he was asked in a pregame interview in the dugout, what do you think about being tied with the Padres for first place? Dave Roberts' response, no one here is concerned about what the Padres are doing.
It's a good answer.
Just feel free to be condescending. And then he was also asked earlier in the week, because the Cubs manager, Craig Counsell's raising this issue, that the Major League rule about roster construction should not be allowed to have the Dodgers have 14 pitchers. And the Dodgers have 14 pitchers. Everybody has a limit of 13, but because Ohtani is 2-position superstar, Ohtani can be the 14th pitcher. Craig Counsell questions why Major League Baseball is allowing that. Dave Roberts' response is, please tell the manager in the Cubs dugout, just go find your own unicorn, will you? Dave Roberts just firing fungos back at everybody. So that's bullet points there. Angels. I told you this was going to happen. Eight blown bullpen opportunities is a reason they've got 13 losses this season. Just the bullpen is just, they don't have enough people. Either injured or guys aren't pitching well, including Pomerantz. So that's been tough. Mike Trout, comeback player of the year, 8 home runs already this season.
Good for him.
Very impressive. Oh, and if you thought Ohtani 0.38 was impressive, his ERA, how about Jose Soriano? His ERA at this hour, 0.24. Just absolutely stunning. 43 strikeouts, 37 innings. He's 6-0. He pitches for the Angels. Just absolutely amazing. By the way, sidebar sad story. We talked last week about Garrett Anderson's passing. The Orange County autopsy report came out. Garrett Anderson died of acute pancreatitis. He was sick, evidently did very little about it. And that inflammation stuff spreads very quickly, shut down his other organs, which led to the heart attack. Kind of a really sad story. Somebody only at age 53 did not get the help that he wanted. So I'm waiting for Dave Roberts to say something rude and crude and condescending to you, but go ahead. Talk Dodgers, talk Angels.
I saw an interview of Roberts and who's the manager of the Blue Jays?
Judge Schneider.
Yeah, and they talked about the World Series and about how, he intentionally had Ohtani walked during one of those games just to kind of get some more wear and tear on his body during the World Series. And it was interesting that Roberts asked him that question in that interview just to confirm if his hunch was true, and it was. But did you see the Giants-Dodgers game last night? Patrick Bailey hits that 3-run bomb in the 7th.
147 batting average of him, yes.
Yeah, because it's interesting in San Francisco because everyone's loving this Susac guy, who, by the way, I saw just got hurt.
Yeah, he's got nerve damage in his elbow.
But he was hitting the hell out of the ball, and everyone was kind of souring on Bailey, but he hits the big bomb. But yeah, Ohtani goes 6 innings, no runs. I mean, what can this guy not do? I mean, he's just Mr. Do everything.
It is kind of weird. They've lost 4 or 5. Dodger baseball's lost 4 or 5.
Yeah, but, they're just like, whatever, we're just going to, we're on cruise control and we can kind of flip the switch in August and turn up the heat a little bit when we need to. No big deal. I mean, think about all the guys that are going to be coming back, like Snell and, who else is going to be coming back?
Well, they got all those guys on the disabled list, the injured pitchers, but there's nobody who's going to step up right now. And losing Diaz is big. I mean, you agree with me? Give Sasaki the ball and go to the bullpen?
Yeah, it just makes you wonder, like, was he promised, to be in the rotation? Because that was how he was, meant to be. Usually, if you go to the bullpen, it usually means sayonara on being a starter anymore, right? I mean,
John Smoltz did that.
Well, he was an exception,
yes.
I think. But usually when you get demoted to the bullpen, your days as a starter are often, unless you're like a Michael King or you just need to be groomed a little more.
Well,
so
I think that's the case. But how can you keep sending him out there and he's throwing 80 and 90 pitches and he can't get through the 5th inning, 4th inning, and there's traffic on the bases every minute of every start. Why not let him be the closer where all he needs is 2 pitches? You use him once a day and maybe 3 times a week, and he can still in his bullpen sessions work on the other stuff. But to send him out there every 4th or 5th day and just have him walk the house, ridiculous.
Yeah, that's tough to watch, as a fan. And I'm sure Dave Roberts is probably coming out of his mind, just watching all this traffic on the bases going, what the hell? I mean, just throw the damn ball, throw a strike. As far as the Angels go, it was great to really kind of learn more about those players because we got to watch them in the Padres series. But, you think about Garrett Anderson and he always struck me as like a first-class dude when he played, and you're hearing a lot of these positive responses about him and memories. But like to your point, it was pancreatitis,
which is really painful.
Yeah, and then it spread, and then he had a heart attack, and it just kind of just makes you wonder, what's going to take us down, when that day comes, and it's just like such a weird thing. I mean, usually you hear pancreatic cancer.
Right. Not
pancreatitis, but yeah, that's sad. But the Angels, they're playing better this year. That Soriano guy, I mean, he is a hell of a pitcher. I mean, what did he do this year that made him this much better?
He showed flashes last year, but there was always control issues. But my biggest fear is, he throws hard. He throws wicked stuff that's got bite. And he's thrown a lot of innings already. My biggest fear is this going to flare up on him? Are we going to wake up one morning all of a sudden he's on the DL with a shoulder issue or a forearm or an elbow issue? Because his ball's got violent movement to it. But that's pretty impressive. 0.24 ERA. Wow.
Well, I know it's a little early, but you would think that he would be the all-star starting pitcher. I mean, if he keeps this up,
it's pretty early, but
yeah, that's you got something for Angel fans to be excited about.
So, Dodger, Angel, Padre fans, your fans forum chat box is open for business. One other set of baseball headlines here, John.
Yeah, we got trouble in a lot of places.
New York Mets. Oh my goodness. Well, they had the 12-game losing streak. They finally won a game, but they lost another player. Soto just came off the DL with this significant calf. Francisco Lindor got hurt last night running the bases. He goes down with a calf injury. Bichette is not playing worth a lick. He's getting booed at home. Their pitching staff has been shaky. Devin Williams can't get anybody out. The ex-Milwaukee Yankee closer, he looks lost out there on the mound, and this guy was dominant. So the Mets are a mess. Philadelphia is waiting for the cavalry to come. They're waiting for the pitchers to get healthy. I mean, they let pitchers go in the offseason, Ranger Suarez for the most part. Don't have Zach Wheeler. Wheeler's been finally activated. He had a blood clot in his shoulder. He was going to make a start, I think, on Saturday. They just don't have enough starting pitching right now. But they've given a public vote of confidence to Rob Thompson, the manager. I think he's 8-15. Dave Dombrowski has zero patience. Very good baseball man. He just called a pitcher in, gave him a pink slip. T1 Walker, who had a 9.15 ERA. He was supposed to be part of their rotation. They gave him a big money contract. They're eating an $18 million contract. See ya.
Wow.
So, but they're not going to fire the manager, at least right now. Red Sox, this has been a weird start. It's not so much on Alex Cora. They've got a lot of really good young guys in their lineup, but they're not playing Jarren Duran on a day-in, day-out basis, which surprises me. Cassis, the first baseman, has had another setback in the rehab from knee surgery. Now he's got an oblique. He's gone on the 60-day DL. They made a lot of deals to try to add pitching. They don't have anybody beyond Garrett Crochet in the rotation right now that's pitching very well. So the Red Sox have got a lot of problems, but it surely does not look like Cora is in hot water. A lot of trouble in Houston. That's an old everyday lineup. I mean, does not look like Altuve and Correa are anywhere near the players they used to be. 4 of their 5 starters are on the disabled list. That's a big issue there. And one late-breaking note, because we've talked about this a couple times in the offseason, in the spring training, and now at the start of the season. White Sox, Muntaka Murakami.
Oh.
Moon Man.
Dave Kingman.
Yeah, left-handed version. Now, he has dragged his batting average up to 256, which is okay. He's got 10 home runs this season. He's hit 5 home runs in the last 5 games.
Right on.
The dude, and it's all kinds of analytics. The dude's swing and miss ratio on every pitch is 41%.
Wow.
He's got like 32 strikeouts and 56 at-bats.
Wow.
As you say, left-handed version Dave Kingman.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyhow, that's news and notes in baseball. Boy, the Mets, the biggest payroll in baseball this season. The Mets are a mess.
Well, did you see that it was Juan Soto was in an interview, and they were asking him about, what's going on when they're, on a road trip and how much are the players talking.
You ready for this, fans? You ready for this? This is vintage Juan Soto.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, well, we don't talk much, It's just, he's just so aloof.
He's in his own world.
He is. And it just goes to prove that, it showcases why in 2023 the Padres went to hell. It just, if you got that kind of a vibe, it doesn't create an inspiring, exciting clubhouse.
Does it validate my nickname, Mr. Me, Myself, and I?
Yeah, exactly. And I saw, Lindor running the bases, and he kind of pulled up a little bit lame. He kind of had a little, hiccup in his giddy up, or however they say that. You ever follow Frank Fleming? He's like this big, boisterous Mets fan. I think he's like hooked up with John Boy. And he just goes crazy whenever the Mets start losing. And he's hilarious to follow. I mean, that's a guy to check out, by the way. And you look at, these other teams, Houston, I saw people were speculating, do you think the Astros would ever trade the big hitter Alvarez?
He's been hurt. Now he's got 11 bombs. I think he leads Major League Baseball just ahead of Muntaka Murakami, but he's always been hurt. Now, he stayed healthy the first month of this season. He's got 11 home runs, but he's been on the DL a ton over the course of his career.
Yeah. It's interesting to speculate. I mean, would Houston kind of give up on their players and start over or something?
It's kind of messy, but they lost Hunter Brown, the supposed ace of the staff. They've lost virtually every pitcher in the rotation, and we're talking significant injuries. And then we talked about the Japanese pitcher, Imai.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just mentally lost out there.
Well, didn't Hader go on the injured list too?
He's got a bicep. He's on a 60-day DL. Can't pitch. But Imai, who they expected to be part of that front-end rotation, he's in the bullpen. Now he's hurt. He's fired 3 interpreters since spring training. There's a whole lifestyle culture thing. He's just not handling anything correctly in Houston.
3?
3.
And we just started the season and spring training, right?
Yeah, he brought an interpreter with him from Japan when he got to Kissimmee in Florida, and he let him go, hired a second one, let him go. Now he's on his 3rd interpreter, and it's got something to do with lifestyle. It's got something to do with diets. It's something to do with culture. And the guy's he's a mental mess. Now he's hurt.
Well, there's that's a heavy thing, especially on a young man coming to a foreign country. You don't speak the language. And, if you don't know what you're doing buying food in America, you can make a lot of bad choices, too. So whereas in Japan, it's hard to make a bad choice. There's a lot going on with him. It takes a special kind of a character to be able to play. And that's what makes Ohtani so amazing. You could just be so dominant in a sport when it's completely outside of your comfort zone.
The difference is, though, Omae is 29 years of age.
Yeah, but
we're not talking about an 18-year-old with his head spinning because he's in America.
There's a lot of 29-year-olds that have the mental ability of a 15-year-old.
Speaking from experience?
Yeah. So, who knows what his exact situation is. But it is. And by the way, he's in Houston. Now, I know Houston is kind of a little more international of a city, but it's in Texas. I mean, it's you think it might have been a little easier transition if he would have stayed on the West Coast or gone to New York or something.
Yeah, it's a really weird story. So those are late-breaking baseball headlines. You fire up the standings, look at the standings. Holy cow, there's a lot of bad baseball being played by a lot of teams that historically have been pretty good. Fans Forum chat box is open if you got an opinion there. John, we go from that. We're shooting three-point shots, talking hoops.
Jesus, there's so much going on, Lee.
Damn
All
right.
You've got the Lakers, the Spurs, the Nuggets, and the Clippers.
Nice headline, upsets and ill will. Could you ever believe in our lifetime we would use the term MVP as it relates to the playoffs, and you'd have to include Luke Kennard, DeAndre Ayton, and Rui Hachimura? The Lakers are up 2-0 on the Houston Rockets.
That's incredible.
I mean, it is really incredible. And they're playing hard. They're in-your-face defense. LeBron's doing a lot of things, complete games, playing a lot of minutes, but they're not asking him to score 42 points because other guys are doing it. I mean, it's phenomenal. Or is this just an indictment of Ime Udoka, the coach in Houston, who historically has always taught great defense, rebounds, etc., and he's got an offense that's in total disarray. All of a sudden, you look at the Rockets when they have the basketball, it's like Kevin Durant doesn't fit anything they're trying to do. When Durant's got the ball, offense stands around and watches. The kids want to push the ball off the floor. Durant's always lagging, and then they turn the ball over. Udoka, I think, has done just a crap job coaching the Rockets in terms of game planning. Dumbass talk show host knows that Luke Kennard has one move, left hand, this way, get the shot off. And you're not shading him defensively that way. You're letting him penetrate, going left all the time. I mean, it's absurd. And Kennard's the MVP of the first 2 games of this playoff series. And now they're in an 0-2 hole. And I see no bloody way Houston can climb out of it. I don't like Houston's offense at all. So that's the latest there. You see Wembanyama faceplant?
Yeah, that looked bad.
That, I thought, oh my goodness, he could have a fractured skull. I thought he got undercut, and there was no foul on the play. Wembanyama is out for San Antonio, and this would look like a very significant concussion in protocol, which means 72 hours. Well, these playoff games are bunched together. 72 hours takes him out of practice, takes him out of Game 2, maybe Game 3, and San Antonio's already lost home court advantage. And it was a very scary fall. You check that out. Look at the video. You're just amazed. I thought he fractured his skull. Denver, Minnesota. There's a lot of stupid people who play in the NBA. Why would you do this? Why would you walk down the hallway with a stick and poke the bear? Why would you threaten a dog? Why would you insult the Denver Nuggets just because you won one game in Denver? So Minnesota comes out of the second game of their playoff series with a victory. So series tied 1-1 going back to the Twin Cities. And the T-Wolves are spending the post-game press conference berating Denver's lack of defensive intensity. That Jokic is a stiff, doesn't want to play at the other end of the floor. Nobody wants to play at the other end of the floor. Just wait till I can get the basketball. Jamal Murray, go down and score. Why would you poke the stick at the bear? Now you pissed off Denver. And Jokic's response is, Minnesota, see my ring? And now they got games 3 and 4 up there, and you got an angry Denver Nuggets team. A lot of stupid people.
Well, they're not wrong. Jokic does kind of slack. He does sandbag sometimes.
But why would you incite the bear?
Yeah.
Okay, last topic on the table. The judge in the L.A. Clippers case where that company is alleged to have funneled money under the table to Kawhi Leonard in violation of salary cap. The owner of Aspiration, the company that the Clippers did business with, Joseph Sandberg, is about to be sentenced to prison for stealing $243 million. And he evidently has cooperated with the judge in turning over information that they have now presented to the NBA as part of the salary cap investigation by the league. Steve Ballmer, the owner, wrote a 5-page letter to that judge yesterday leading into the sentencing hearing for Joseph Sandberg. And he said, I had no relationship with this guy. I had no knowledge of any deal he was doing with Kawhi. Ballmer said, I lost $60 million of my own personal wealth in this investment. We lost $300 million in sponsorship in the new arena because this guy went bankrupt. He said he used my name. He stained my name by going to get other investors, saying Steve Ballmer's part of my consortium. And Ballmer says, I hardly knew this guy at all. This guy has been charged with fraud, $243 million. He's facing 40 years in prison. So this is a really nasty story. Ballmer's enraged. Ballmer wants this guy put behind the prison walls for 40 years. That's going to be an interesting story as the judge is getting ready to hand down the sentence to this guy. This guy has asked for leniency. I don't have to ask for leniency. Here's Trump's cell phone number. Just call him, ask for a freaking pardon. Your president will probably do that.
That's what Tiger Woods tried to do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, John, go ahead. Start with MVP Luke Kennard. Yeah?
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, to see him, it's like I haven't heard his name in a while. Did you see there was a clip of Colin Cowherd talking about LeBron back when he was 34 years old and was saying, you know, when LeBron's 40, he'll be nothing compared to Jordan when he was 40. You know, he goes, you know, LeBron probably won't even be playing into his 40s.
I think not.
But now look, I mean, LeBron, you know, you were saying like, you know, Jokic, they go, look at my ring. I mean, LeBron's got rings. LeBron is bringing it. And he's putting up the points. He's carrying the load.
MVP Luke Kennard, MVP DeAndre Ayton. You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Or it's just the incompetence of Udoka, the Houston coach.
I like I told you before in a previous episode, I thought the Rockets were one of those teams like OKC and like San Antonio.
On the rise.
Yeah, I thought it had maybe like the junior version of those two dominant teams, but it's weird that they're down 2-0, you know. So the series is going back to Houston. Let's see if they flip it. But you know, the Laker fans are probably got to be feeling great about themselves. We thought they were one and done.
Luke Kennard was unemployed.
You know, that guy. Yeah, and he looks like my accountant, you know. And then, you know, the Spurs, yeah, that was a tough fall for Wembanyama. I mean, that's a kid to root for. I mean, just his athleticism, the way he can dribble, drive, and do put someone in the turnstile. And what did Chick Hearn used to call that? Like the popcorn machine or something like that. But, you know, Victor Wembanyama can put on these moves and dribble the ball like a point guard. I mean, what a talented young man.
And he's so big. He was so high in the air, and he went face first down. He never got his arms out to break the fall.
And I saw that, and I wasn't sure. Something weird looked like it happened to his leg, too. I don't know if it was his knee or his ankle. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he's going to be okay. But
that's pretty scary.
It is very scary, yeah.
And what do you think about Ballmer?
I want to believe Steve Ballmer. I like Steve Ballmer. I want the Clippers to be successful. But I don't know if I really take this at face value. How could you not know who this guy is? How could you only talk to him once when it seems like he's had such a huge financial impact on your team? So it just doesn't smell right, you know. So we're going to find out more. I mean, but who's the bad guy? I mean, is it this representative for this, you know, that was working the deal for Kawhi? Is Kawhi the bad guy? Is Kawhi's uncle the bad guy?
Damn right.
You know, is Ballmer or someone in the Clippers organization a bad guy? I don't know. I mean, if this is going to go to trial, then the whole thing is going to come out.
Well, Sandberg is about to get sentenced. His trial has already taken place. NBA probe is still going on. I just wonder, does the term whitewash come into the conversation? NBA going to whitewash this, that we don't know, so we're not going to do anything?
No. I mean, if they're legitimately circumventing the salary cap, you can't look the other way. I mean, you have to be a hound dog and get to this. This is because this affects the integrity of the sport.
Okay, Fans Forum chat box is open. Who wants to dog us about the basketball stories? I apologize in advance, not for what I'm wearing. I apologize because there's so many topics on the table, but hey, you signed up for this. We do sports talk the way it should be done. All right, let's move on. Late breaking stories. Oh, the old Canada Network should be joining us. Talk puck.
Yeah, the playoffs have been great, Lee.
Oh, Montreal, Tampa. I told you so. I told you this was going to be some kind of series. This is I don't like you type hockey. The bully bolts. Tampa Bay has just tried to pound Montreal skaters. Cheap shots, intimidations, a lot of late hits, and the Habs have outskated them. Lightning have tried to bash them. Montreal's philosophy, we're not going to take any crap from anybody. Montreal's played a lot bigger than I thought they would, led by Josh Anderson, kind of a journeyman forward who also can score goals. This has been really something. Now, Tampa's made Cole Caulfield and Suzuki kind of disappear. Those guys have not scored goals. But everybody else, the second, third, and fourth liners for the Canadians, were not banging on bodies or scoring goals. It's really been impressive. And Jacob Dobush, this goaltender from Europe, has just stood on his head. And he's won 30 games this season for Montreal. So the series is now tied 1-1, going back to the Bell Center tonight. That's going to be fun. Ducks Oilers. Stage is not too big for the Ducks kids. They've kind of grown into this. I think they've grown up on the job. 6-4 win on Oilers ice last night. 2 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 1 empty netter. Cutter Gauthier, 2 more goals. That kid's got hockey instincts that you can't teach. Oilers, 3rd year in a row. John and I have been doing this podcast. 3rd year in a row, we're talking about the crisis between the pipes. Edmonton's goaltending is crap. Bad this year, bad last year with Stuart Skinner, bad the year before with Stuart Skinner, and really shaky with Connor Ingram. This is terrible in Edmonton, and their defense in front of the goaltender has been really, really suspect. Ducks have outskated them. I don't know why Edmonton's not playing the body. It doesn't take much except fortitude to play the body and finish your checks and slow them down. Don't let these guys fly through center ice with speed into the zone, and that's what the Ducks are doing. And boy, there was a scary incident. You talk about the NBA injury to Wemby. Connor McDavid ran into one of his own guys. It looked as if he took a skate just above the knee, and that's dangerous area, skate cuts. Yeah. He came off, he limped, came back on, he got hit again on the lower part of the ankle. That's not good news there. So we got the Ducks, we got the Oilers. Is it Friday night yet? No, Friday night's going to be great.
Friday night hockey.
Oh, damn right. So we got that. San Diego Gulls. Tell you what, this is bothersome to me. They lost last night in Colorado. I knew it would be hard. All 3 of these playoff games in the first round for the AHL Gulls are in Colorado. I can't get an explanation because I'm sure nobody wants to answer my question. Why did you start a rookie goaltender, Damian Clara, who came from Sweden, has been with the team 1 week? He played a couple of games leading into the play. Why is Damian Clara the starting goaltender in a playoff game rather than Calle Klang, your young veteran who's had a really good season? Nobody wants to answer that question, but they're in a bit of a hole. They lose 3-0 to Colorado. PGA Tour. The new commissioner of the PGA confirming we will open meetings about the return to players clause that we used last year. They're going to try to come up with a deal to allow LIV guys who exit to come back early to the PGA Tour. Now, we don't know what the price tag is going to be. They're going to pay a penalty, make a donation to charity, but there's going to be conversation about the returned players clause. And guess who is negotiating out of the LIV? Bryson DeChambeau. He's confirmed his contract is coming up, and he's talking about exiting. It'd be cruel of me to say the rats are jumping off the ship, but the rats who took blood money look like they're jumping off the ship of the LIV. Okay, so that's golf. Soccer, World Cup. Holy cow. This is quite the story here. Let's just talk about this situation. Ticket crisis. SoFi Stadium seats just under 70,000. So we're about 50 days out from the beginning of the World Cup. Team USA, they're going to play Portugal first game. They're going to play Turkey the second game. Tickets sold. For the first game, they've sold 40,934 tickets in a stadium that seats almost 70 for Team USA.
Wow.
And the second game against Turkey, they've sold just over 38,000.
Those tickets are expensive.
Damn right. Ticket prices. They might even take all the money out of your wallet. You can buy an entry ticket to see Team USA for $1,120 for the first game. Top ticket to sit in the best seat, $2,730. What's the limit on your gold card? So, I mean, it's amazing. The prices are so steep. Soccer fan, like I say, they've sold 40,000 plus in a stadium that seats nearly 70 for the first game for USA, 38,000 for the second game. Wow. So we got that. Soccer story, AC Milan. He got booed off the field. Christian Pulisic got benched in the middle of a game for AC Milan. He has now gone 16 straight matches without a goal. That's hard to believe that somebody that talented can't even luck his way in to a goal. I wish I had good news on Argentina, but this is a really ugly story. The retrial of the 7 doctors from South American soccer star Diego Maradona has begun. Homicide trial, 7 doctors. The family has accused the doctors of mistreatment of the death of the legendary South American soccer star who was being treated with surgery for a blood clot on the brain, suffered a cardiac arrest, and died. The doctors testifying this week the surgeons have charged that Maradona died because of his lifestyle choices. He was always involved with alcohol, a lot of substance problems, etc. He was in and out of rehab centers. And they charged the daughters of Maradona, through different marriages, are suing them just to make money off the dead body. Really, really ugly story with Diego Maradona. And finally, it's not right. It's not the same team. They need to do some evaluation. SDFC losses pile up for the San Diego MLS team. They got beat 1-0 at home by the Houston Dynamo. I should say on the road by the Houston Dynamo. They had 1 shot on goal in 97 minutes of soccer. Another red card, which made him play shorthanded. It's kind of just an epidemic. The Chrome and Azul are 3-4-2. SDFC is winless in 7 straight matches now. They're 0-5-2 since the quick start. It's just not the same team chemistry. Okay, so I put a lot of topics up there. You want to talk about Les Habitants, the Bleu, Blanc, and Rouge, the Canadiens. You want to talk about Ducks Puck, big boys growing up against the Oilers. We got PGA golf. We got all things soccer. Podium belongs to you.
This Sports Wires is loaded. This whole podcast is loaded. Did you watch any of the Flyers-Penguins game last night?
Take no prisoners.
There was like a brutal fight. Yep. And what was the guy, Rust, I think, and someone got elbowed, and it was like a maul. And it took a long time for the refs to sort that out, and they had the penalty box, which is filled with Penguins in there.
A lot of bad blood on the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it's like interstate rivalry, but it just the hockey playoffs are just so entertaining. Now, the World Cup story is interesting because you charge these really high prices, $1,000 to $2,000 for seats. You've only filled up half the stadium. Well, it's not like you can suddenly discount the seats, to help fill in the stadium because everyone else has spent the big money. I don't know how they're going to sort through that.
No, the whole thing was egregious. It's a god-awful money grab.
Yeah.
And why would you do that? Why would you create that? Would you rather not have 70,000 at fair prices and make all that mega money versus this?
It's just that they miscalculated the market. I mean, America's growing as soccer interests, but, on one level, Americans, might still be growing, and ready to support Team USA, but not to the extent. But the other problem is that international fans coming to America are probably having second thoughts about everything that's going down here.
Well, I mean, the international fans coming here are pissed about the prices. And then they got to deal with your president in the White House and ICE agents and visas and all that. What a disaster. This has the potential to be just a huge setback. But that's freaking FIFA, which has a history of corruption.
Now, didn't Trump say that he's like, hey, can you maybe drop Iran from the World Cup and maybe add Italy?
Yeah, at which time the premier from Italy says, no, we're not taking that invitation. You don't have any right to say anything to FIFA about how teams qualify.
Well, he won the Peace Prize from FIFA.
He was given a bribe.
Yeah, he was. Again, yeah. And he got the gold statue, too.
You told me we weren't going to talk politics about your president on my podcast.
Well, it's a little tangent there from the world of sports.
Okay. And what are we doing about SDFC?
I don't know. I'm just bamboozled by all of this. It just last year was just so wonderful. They just so exceeded our expectations. And, I'm trying to wedge in a Wednesday game on my Apple, MLS ticket. And I can't even get to that because of all the hockey and the basketball. But, yeah, I don't know. Mikey Veras got to figure something out. Meanwhile, Chucky Lozano is sitting there on the sideline. Well, not on the sideline, but at the practice facility. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with him.
He's committing professional suicide. They had deals out there he refused to sign off on. He's not going to make Team Mexico in the Olympics or the World Cup. What are you doing?
Everything about it is just a mystery.
Yeah, very much so. And how about Maradona? What a story.
Yeah, that guy definitely has a checkered past.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, and that hand of God thing. Remember that? Yeah. I mean, they've shown the video replay. That was an illegal touch, wasn't it?
Didn't get caught.
No, it didn't. Yeah, well, it's like your old buddy Rome. If you ain't cheating, then you ain't trying.
Just absolutely.
But Maradona is just he's not like Pele. Who I think had a higher character, a little more moral integrity, right, than Maradona.
And how about the doctor standing up at the trial and blaming his daughter, saying this is nothing more than you trying to sue us to make money off a dead body?
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone's in it for the dollar, see what they can get out of it.
Well, it's a retrial because they had already found the doctor's innocent. And now the family appealed. And again, I don't know South American law. You probably do, but you drink Dos Equis. But just staggering story there.
Yeah, that is. That's sad. You'd hate to have, your legacy tarnished by this family feud over the dead body.
Dead dollars.
Yeah.
Okay, those are topics on the table. I apologize in advance because we've gone so long. There's so much to talk about. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Got projects, they got materials. Go to DIXIELINE.com, see all the things they have to offer. And by Our Lads Draft Guide, yes, it's NFL Draft Night, but a reminder, you can still order. Go to OurLads.com. You can order either the print edition that'll be delivered, or you can get the digital edition, and you'll have it in your files. Not only you get all the draft information, you get all the depth charts of all the teams, and you subscribe, you'll get the second publication coming out after the draft, leading to the start of the training camps. John, we got a lot of topics on the table. I think there's probably a few people with opinions here. Here comes Fans Forum.
Well, for you, quick question, because you keep checking your phone for probably draft day news. Any late-breaking stories?
No, not at this point, no. I'm just paying attention if I can pay attention.
Okay. All right, let's go here. Let's start with Gary. He goes, Hacksaw, we need to all pitch in and get you a junior 55 jersey. Let's honor the San Diego Chargers so there's no ambiguity that you are supporting Spanos, the slime ball. Let's remember the smells of barbecues and beers walking through the Q parking lot on a hot Sunday afternoon with our friends. Good times.
Hey, as I said, this represents show me your lightning bolt. And all the fun times I had as the voice of the Chargers, what we did on Sports Talk Radio, the NFL Draft Central show. That's what this represents. Love the logo, etc. Like I say, philosophically, I hope Justin Herbert goes 17-0, and I hope Dean Spanos goes 0-17. I know there's counseling and medication I can probably get for that, but this represents my era, which I was very proud of. Hope you can accept that. The alternative is I was going to celebrate the Raiders having the number one pick in the draft, and I have one piece of Raider gear that was given to me by a Raider executive. But I feared if I wore that in here, you'd have a heart attack, and I'd lose a whole bunch of viewers on the podcast. I don't want to do that.
Remember, one of the Raider fans was offering you some pot at LA Coliseum.
Oh, yeah. The Charger-Raider broadcast at halftime, and the Chargers are blowing the Raiders out. I think it was the year we went to the Super Bowl. And Raider fan stumbles up at halftime, and Jim Laslovic turns to me and says, "What do you smell? That's not hot dogs." It was dude with a load of pot. You guys want to take a shot? I said, no, I still got the second half of the broadcast to do. Just Raider fan. That's okay. They love this.
So this is a big day in the world of sports, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Bo Bello. He goes, "Hey, Lee, most of the San Diego radio hosts are boring or doormats to the Padres."
Well, you cover what is your team, and that's the Padres. But you're ignoring the NFL draft? You're kidding me. But that takes work. That takes intelligence. That takes passion. A lot of those guys don't have any of that at all. We'll just show up and talk about the Padres because it's lazy-ass talk radio, or we'll comment about what's in the newspaper, which is lazy-ass sports talk radio, too. So we do it differently. I think we're pretty successful at what we do.
You know, what's interesting is I follow Ben Higgins and Stephen Woods, you know.
Why?
They're fun. I like them.
Okay.
And so, anyways, there was some smack talking of you
Again?
On X amongst the listeners of the Ben and Woods show. You know, so it's just kind of funny how there's this underground rivalry of San Diego, you know, maybe frenemies, you know, of all these, sports talk show hosts that are competitive and, you know, who's the king of the hill?
I am the king of the hill. What I did, nobody else has ever duplicated, and everybody does it differently, and I accept that. And I get along really well with Ben. I like Ben.
He's
Ben
a
works,
good guy.
He works really hard. I don't know Woods at all, except they demeaned me on their show one time. They've never had me on. It's like I'm toxic. I'm not toxic. I've been successful. Now I'm doing it very differently. But if they want to call and have me on, I'll come on. But end of the day, they are who they are, and I am who I am, and I'm not making apologies for being bleeping brilliant.
Of course not. Okay, let's go to Bat Fan. Hey, Trout has always played to his top level. The problem is he can't stay healthy for a full year. If he stays healthy and the Angels are out of it by the trade line, do they try to move him?
Big contract, though. That's a big issue. And he doesn't want to be traded. He's got a no-trade clause, and he's already told Artie Moreno, this is my home in the season, and I want to stay here. So I don't think so. But so far, 8 home runs in the first 3.5 weeks of the season. That's pretty good productivity when you consider how many injuries that he's had. So that's the kind of guy you root for.
Yeah. I mean, he should be on a better team. You know, he deserves an opportunity to play at the highest level.
Yep.
And I mean, he's just too comfortable there. I mean, why does he want to stay? Is it just loyalty? I mean, he's a New Jersey guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's probably not a guy that likes neon lights. He's probably not a guy that wants to be in the center of major market media. I mean, he's in a suburban situation that's very comfortable for he and his family. He's got little kids. I think it's probably a hell of a lot easier to live in Orange County with a family than it is to live outside Yankee Stadium or in Philadelphia, etc.
Yeah.
Unique man. He's already told Artie Moreno, please do not ask me for a trade. I don't want to waive the clause you gave me.
Interesting. It's always fun to see him show up at Eagles games.
Yeah.
You know,
he's a hockey fan, New Jersey Devil hockey fan. Yeah.
He's built like a hockey player.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's go here to Jay Farrell talking about Sasaki and the Dodgers. Do you want a closer who, quote, walks the house? This take makes no sense.
No, I totally disagree. Because as a closer, he's got 2 pitches. He's not experimenting with a third pitch. As a closer, you're asking him to throw 20 pitches, get out of the inning. He's got a 0.78 ERA as a closer. Now, you're not asking him to labor through 5 innings where he's got to throw at least 3 pitches or maybe 4, and the 3rd and 4th pitcher he can't control. So that makes sense to me, especially now that you've lost Diaz, and it doesn't appear that they're very trustworthy at Tanner Scott. So I will just say this is better in the bullpen with that ERA than being in the rotation, scuffling and struggling every start. No? My reaction to what your reaction was.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just trying to find a comfortable spot for Sasaki.
Yep.
But Jay Farrell had a follow up because Frank Fleming, I was telling you about, the Mets fan. Oh, yeah. He's part of Barstool Sports, not John Boy. And yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah, there are. Hey, by the way, the Padres are making a comeback here. It's 8-7 in the top of the ninth now.
Yeah.
So they're catching up. Okay, let's go here to Do You Love It? Hey, I agree, Saw. Padres better make a move in the pitching area. Bauer.
No. Bauer got lit in his first start with the Long Island Ducks in the Independent League. Didn't get to the fifth inning, gave up runs, walks, etc. And again, he's not a young guy. And at this point, nobody wants to touch him. I mean, when you got 30 teams in baseball and half the world in baseball needs pitching, nobody wants him. Obviously, nobody's interested in Urias, the ex-Dodger left-hander. And nobody touched Giolito until this week, and the Padres did. So,
holy sheets.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Padres are ahead, 10-8 over the Rockies.
Gavin Sheets just hit a 3-run bomb.
Way to go. Finally, Coors connection. Okay, we move on.
All right, let's go here to Zippy. Who's a Zippy pinhead? Love Jeremiah's mock for Seattle. He has us trading down with Baltimore for 45 and number 80.
Well, it's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of conversation going on. A lot of trade rumors. I mean, this thing erupted last night at about 4:35 p.m. All of a sudden, there are all these rumors, a whole bunch circulating out of the Rams headquarters. And again, we could have some deals because Arizona at 3, even though Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame would be there, they need help in a lot of different areas. And the only way they're going to get help would be if they were able to trade down multiple times. But a lot of people really like Jeremiah Love. Now, taking a running back at 3 is really high.
Wait, is this Daniel Jeremiah? Is that who he's referring to?
Yes, probably. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Seattle at the back end of the first round, they don't have a history of trading up. They have a history of trading back. But there are other running backs aside from Jeremiah Love. And, I mean, if you're saying that Seattle can go from 32 and trade all the way up inside the top 5, nah. I don't think that's possible at all. That price is too steep, and that's not the way John Schneider has done his business there. So, but tell you what, this whole draft will spin based on what happens with pick 3 and then the fallout after the first domino falls. Good point, though. Thank you.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Yeah. It starts at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, just after 5 o'clock. You're on the clock.
Okay, the Raiders are on the clock. All right, let's go here to Bernard. He goes, I'm not listening when you're wearing that shirt, you traitor.
I am not a traitor. I just explained myself. You may not be a Charger fan in Los Angeles. I understand why. I'll sign that memo. I'm a Charger fan based on everything I gave to that franchise and my radio station in this market for a long, long time. So that's why I wear it, because show me your lightning bolt means a lot to me. So why should I give that up? And I've given you the proviso of why I'm wearing this today. How many times do I have to explain myself?
Well, yeah. I mean, you still get crap from people,
all the time.
But you're a sports journalist, so you cover the Chargers. Yeah, but if you rolled in here in the silver and black, I think, everyone's heads would explode. And I associate you with that lightning bolt.
Okay.
You're woven into the fabric of Chargers history, in my opinion. So
does my explanation as to why I would ever wear a Dodger hoodie make sense to you? Because I love the logo dating back to when I was a kid, and the first game I ever saw was Brooklyn Dodgers, Ebbets Field, Jackie Robinson?
See, that makes sense to me. And
but those people are having a nervous breakdown responding to that.
They're all trying to pin you. Are you a fan of the Dodgers? Are you a Dodger hater? Are you a fan of the Padres, Padre hater? But when you grew up on Long Island and you go to Ebbets Field, of course, you're entitled to be a Dodger fan, even if they're out here in L.A. But it's just funny, just some of the smack talk that's going on.
I just thought I'd wear it, but I didn't want anybody to have a heart attack. So I didn't wear the Raider gear.
Okay, let's a little more Charger commentary from Callan. Hey, Saw, do you have a Charger draft day story like Junior, LT, the Eli trade, or dare I say Ryan Leaf?
That's a really good question. Each of those has different categories. I obviously say I was a phenomenal athlete, and he was just such a physical specimen. And when he became available, Bobby Beathard, of course, was going to draft him. Tomlinson, I knew a lot about. I didn't know if he would hold up because I had seen him in broadcast games that he was in at TCU, and he was just tremendous. A little bit like Barry Sanders. I didn't know if he could take the pounding, but he was such a physical specimen, it grew into the role. He was a great player. The Eli Rivers trade, it turned out to be win-win. Yeah, Eli went to New York and did get some rings, but that was more about the team around Eli than just Eli. Rivers came here, and sadly, as great as Phillip was as a player, surrounded by the kind of people he was, they never got to the Super Bowl, which that to me is shocking. I mean, Tomlinson's in the Hall of Fame, Gates is in the Hall of Fame, Rivers statistically might wind up in the Hall of Fame, and they never played on Super Bowl Sunday. That was more of an organizational failure and to a degree coaching failure because Marty Schottenheimer never did well in postseason play ever. Not here in San Diego, not obviously prior to that in Kansas City or other places that he was coached, or the Browns. So that was an organizational failure. So those are my draft stories.
I remember the year that the Chargers drafted LT. And I remember being disappointed because that was the year that Michael Vick was number one. And the Chargers, if I recall, they needed a quarterback. This was after Stan Humphries, right?
They traded to allow Atlanta, I guess, to get number one.
Yeah, but I think the Chargers had the number one overall, didn't they?
I think John Butler was the general manager at that time, and he traded out.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, they wanted it to be a win-win draft.
Yeah.
Butler for a short period of time in the draft did some good things. A.J. Smith did some really good things, too.
Yeah, but LT, I mean, just what a marvelous talent that guy. Yeah. Just unbelievable. And the Eli trade is obviously a lot of drama, Ryan Leaf drama. But, Junior.
Well, Leaf was a mistake. He had everybody fooled. I was fooled. I thought this was a big physical specimen. He was represented by Lee Steinberg, who I really respect. And I had seen Leaf play a lot at Washington State, and I thought, boy, this is a hell of a raw talent. But then you find out that he was getting by just on raw talent. He was not a student of the game. Then they find out that he was a lifestyle mess, and he didn't work very hard, and then he got hurt, and then he was an asshole on top of it. Now, he's resurrected his career. Good for him. I mean, he fought through some real adversity. He went to prison for barbiturates and obviously an alcohol problem. He's fought back, and he's got a wife and 2 kids and lives up in the Pacific Northwest and does some TV stuff on one of the ESPN stations. So good for him that he's rallied his life. But you talk about in the history of bad draft picks, and the Chargers got lied to. Bobby Beathard met a lot with Mike Price, the coach at Washington State, and Price never alluded to, this guy's not a student. This guy's a stud. Well, if you looked at the film, but he was 5 wide receivers. Nobody could defend all the speed that Mike Price recruited to at Washington State. And Leaf just turned out to be a tremendous college quarterback just based on raw talent. But in the pros, it's much more than that. I'll tell this one quick story. After the Chargers left our station and I wound up becoming a free agent, I got the Seattle Seahawks job. And I went to Seattle. And Leaf was in San Diego with Craig Wheelahan. They were the 2 quarterbacks post-Humphreys. And I remember talking to Charger coaches because I'd still go out to practice when the Chargers practice. And I'd go out there and watch Leaf and Wheelahan practice 3-and-outs. So I asked a Charger coach, I said, so where is Leaf on the learning curve? And one of the Charger coaches said, this guy's a disaster. Leaf and Wheelahan in one game up in Seattle, I broadcasted, threw 6 interceptions in one game. They were throwing. Leaf was throwing up and outs to cornerbacks.
Pick 6.
Oh, pick 6s. It was ungodly. And of course, Leaf eventually got suspended by Beathard. It was just a disastrous pick, but they never knew that Leaf was really not a student of the game. He could say all the right stuff in the meetings, and you had all the video of when he was at Washington State throwing all these touchdown passes against 5'8" cornerbacks at Oregon State. So just turned out to be set the franchise way back. I mean, Leaf and Jamarcus Russell may be the 2 greatest modern-day failures of organizations.
Well, it's just when you juxtapose Leaf with Peyton Manning. And you're like, God, with two, night and day. But there is no way the Colts were not going to take Manning, right?
Exactly. Chargers had the second pick.
Yeah.
And that was the one on video, and he said all the right junk in the meetings, and okay.
Remember Craig Wheelahan? Didn't he go to University of Pacific?
Yes.
I just remember he was number 5, and he had his moments where he was effective. You know, he wasn't a Pro Bowl caliber player, but he was a backup that was he like a third stringer for a while. He eventually got his time, but you know,
everybody had to have the third quarterback on their roster, and he was the third quarterback on their roster. Not a bad guy. Nice guy, talked to you and all that. But I'd seen a lot of strange quarterbacks in my time as a voice of the Chargers. But the Leaf thing haunts them. But they eventually got good, and the Chargers did get to a Super Bowl. And then we had the great run with Breeze that brought us the great run with Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, and a little bit of Doug Flutie mixed in, too.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go to music to my ears. Hey, how you feeling, Hacksaw? Don't get hooked on opioids.
No, not me. I had a tough time doing Tylenol, much less anything else. But thank you for asking. I survived the crash. I am still on the injured reserve list. I tape a Tylenol to my shoulder and my neck every Monday and Thursday, and we come do this podcast.
Okay. You've been through hell in a handbasket. Yeah, you've been through it.
I wouldn't recommend it to hardly anybody to go through.
Yeah, we were just talking about ambulance bills before we started the podcast. All right, here's another one from D11. Holy sheets. And a quick one here from Robert. Padres score 5 so far in the 9th. Birthday boy Sheets, 3-run homer.
Finally. His batting average was down to 212. So, nice win. Now they go to Mexico City to play Arizona in the really thin air there.
Yeah, well, Mason Miller's closing this one out right now, I think. Yeah. I mean...
correct term, Sir Smoke.
Sir Smoke, okay. That's your new nickname for him? Okay, and here's John. He goes, hey, a Traders hoodie, Lee? Damn it, I'm bringing you a Capitals hoodie so you can represent Alex Ovechkin, the only man in the world who is feared politically by both Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Ovi's not afraid to tell people what he thinks about the war between Russia and Ukraine, but I explain myself. I am not guilty of anything except I like the colors, and I like the logo from my era. My era. Super Bowl Chargers.
Yeah, but you know what? I like the color scheme now. I mean, back when you did the Super Bowl team in the 90s, they had the dark navy uniforms.
But then they eventually evolved into I call them ice whites, which were cool. And then they eventually evolved into the powder blues, which are cool.
Well, they did the powder blues as a throwback.
Yeah.
And the fans loved it. And we're like, Spanos, let's do these full time. Do you think Spanos just put it in his back pocket knowing they were moving to L.A.?
Oh, probably. And they said, we've got to find a way to sell tickets to get people excited. So we did. So they got 13 people buy season tickets.
See, I the one part about the new uniforms or the old uniforms, the powder blues, is I like the number on the helmet. I think that's just cool.
Well, that's old AFL, old school.
Yeah, and then a couple of other, like Alabama does that too, right? So that's good stuff. Okay, here's a question here from Sports Fan. Hey, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, are you in the Sports Radio Hall of Fame?
No, not that I know of. The awards that I have were kind of based on being in San Diego. I won the Sports Talk Show Host of the Year 7 times, all-time record with the Southern California Broadcasters Association, a whole bunch of friends of mine. But when my stations went out of business, obviously I kind of came off the radar when 690 let me go, and then that station dissolved. And then when 1090 let me go, and that station went out of business. Once you're not in that mainstream, you don't get accolades anymore. But this podcast, my God, we're just killing it with the podcast and what I'm doing on my website. So, I mean, we're really, really active. So thank you for the comment.
There's a Southern California Broadcasting Hall of Fame, right?
Sports Broadcasters Association, yeah.
Oh, but is there a national...
Oh, there's a National Broadcasting Hall of Fame, but that's for the Jim Nances of the world and all the National Pedigree Network guys.
Okay. But then there's also a broadcaster wing in Cooperstown.
Yes, that's the Ford Frick Award for broadcasters. And then there's also an award for sports writers that is also part of the Baseball Hall of Fame, and the exact same thing in the NFL, too.
Now, do you have any personal favorites of broadcasters that you've always loved?
Well, I'm spoiled because I was a kid who grew up in baseball addiction, and I grew up to Mel Allen, Phil Rizzuto, Red Barber, Les Kiter. Now, only those who are refugees from the East Coast would know who those guys were. Yankees, Dodgers. New York Giants. And obviously, I had the taste of Vin Scully when Vin Scully was very, very young. And then obviously out here on the West Coast, all things Vin Scully. I really liked a guy who did Angel Baseball way back. His name was Bob Starr. A lot of those guys have passed away. NFL draft is being held in Pittsburgh. Huge Bob Prince fan. Now, that's an acquired taste. But anybody here who's from Pittsburgh, who watches this podcast, they know how great Bob Prince was. Obviously, the legend. That was Jack Buck.
Who's the guy in Detroit?
Ernie Harwell. Spectacular gentleman. Jack Brickhouse, Chicago. Very different style. Very, very unique. I interviewed virtually all those guys. One of my great thrills was interviewing Mel Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Who at that point in time had retired. But great gentleman. Interviewed Red Barber, good old boy from the Deep South. Oh, the stories he could tell about the Jackie Robinson era. I mean, so I've been very fortunate. And I did this in the early days of sports talk radio, where I could dig up phone numbers and I'd call everybody.
Bust out the Rolodex?
Yeah, exactly. And now it's really hard to access people because they all got agents and they all got PR people but I was one of the first ones that did it. There was not a phone number in the world that I would not call.
Hacksaw here.
That's
Want
right.
to book you for an appointment, for an interview.
Most of the radio and TV guys that I interviewed were really, really cool people.
What about sports writers? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, that's a good question. Off the top of my head.
Well, you talked about T.J. Simers and
yeah, but that's locally out here on the West Coast. I just.
Well, who are those guys in the sports reporters? Remember the sports reporters on ESPN?
Yeah, Bob Lee and way early. All those guys. I've interviewed virtually all of them. And again, most of those guys are all retired. A lot of them have passed on. So
yeah.
But do you ever remember, we do talk show radio, remember the tour of the training camps?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
I would interview the beat writers or broadcasters of every NFL team leading into the draft or leading into the opening training camps. You do the thing, the tour of the Cactus League and the Grapefruit Circuit.
Yeah, that's classic hacksaw right there.
Nobody does any of that because that's too much work. They'd rather do lazy-ass sports talk radio.
You were busting your tail back in the day. You still are. Okay, let's get it. We got a little bit of time. Let's squeeze in some social media here. And, it's an interesting comment about the Padres in Musgrove. This is from Tactical Carry. From dropping kettlebells on his foot to throwing through pain, moron was trying to pitch in the playoffs last year. Musgrove is his own worst enemy. Real disappointment.
Well, I think he's got passion. Accidents in weight rooms happen everywhere. Doesn't matter what sport you are. There are all kinds of things that happen. So he dropped the kettlebell on his foot. He was such a strong-armed, violent action pitcher. You blow out elbows. He's no different than the 56 guys who had elbow surgery last year during the season. It's an epidemic in baseball. Does he want to be back? Yes. Is he passionate about it? Yes. Does he talk about trying to get back at a certain time frame? Yeah. But let's be realistic. These things take a year. Sometimes they take 2 years. Some guys come back. Some guys never, ever come back. Joe will get to a threshold where suddenly the reality is he can't be the pitcher he was before. And does he change repertoire? Can he survive doing something different? We don't. Every pitcher is very, very different. I mean, if you just ask Walker Buehler, he's had 3 or 4 good outings and then he gets lit because his stuff is just not the same. So I'm not critiquing nor condemning him. Joe's a victim of the profession, throwing hard. And that's the way it is. And he gave us some really good years, and we'll just see if there's a light for him to come through this. But I said, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, I think there's a hidden rationale for signing Giolito at such a late date when nobody else would touch him. I think there's something going on with Pivetta, or maybe the Musgrove thing can't be recalibrated at this point in time. So that's really tough. I had a bad flashback when I got word that Giolito was going to sign finally. My flashback was, do you remember Jake Arrieta?
Oh, yeah.
Cy Young Award winner.
Cubs, Phillies.
Came here.
Oh, he was awful.
Oh, my goodness. That was the first thing that popped in my mind.
Yeah, it might turn out to be that.
That may be unfair to Giolito. We'll just see. But the Giolito gave 183 home runs. Arrieta was giving up bombs all the time.
He was horrible when he pitched for the Padres.
But he was at the end of the run. That's an example of a guy who threw out a shoulder.
Yeah.
Didn't have it anymore.
Well, first of all, this tactical carry guy, this is a terrible take. I mean, how can you be down on Joe Musgrove?
Yeah, for everything he did before he got hurt.
Yeah, and how can you be down on a guy that just wants to play, and he's excited to play. He's not slow walking it like Blake Snell or like, Drew Pomeranz. I mean, this guy, he wants to get out there. And is he maybe a little too anxious? Maybe. But Joe Musgrove strikes me as a mature, reasoned thinker, a guy that's not going to do something dumb.
Yeah, if it were a bum who was a problem, you could be jaundiced in your approach and your comments. But that's not Joe Musgrove. He's trying really hard, but there's a reality here that he's going to have to get to if it doesn't work. That's where we're at. Okay, move on.
Okay, let's talk some silver and bleak with Paulo. Talking about this inside story about Gruden and all the mess he was involved in.
Yeah.
Because this is an obvious hit piece. What a joke. Real journalism ethics vanished.
Well, but the difference is there's a lot of reality there because they've been incompetent since 2002. Their composite record is 131 wins and 242 losses. That's that regime. And even when they hired Gruden back the second time and Gruden drafted all these players, that's fact. That's not fiction. He screwed up 3 drafts in a row with bad citizens. So is it a hit job? No, it's a reflection back as to why they're a mess and they're so dysfunctional. The hit job to me is what's going on with the New York Post. Nobody should be given a crap about infidelity. Now, if he was arrested, if Mike Vrabel had been involved with assault or drunk driving, his jury is going to be in front of his wife and his kids as to why the hell you're in this relationship for 6 years. But why is that a back page story that's important? I mean, guys having relationships everywhere. Guys get divorced all the time. That's yellow journalism. What the Raiders story is in the New York Times was true fact, and this is why they are where they are and why they have the number 1 pick, and this is the historical perspective. So I don't have, and we've talked about that on this podcast a lot, about that dysfunction for a long period of time. Am I right or am I right?
Well, this is a weak take. Right here. I mean, because...
Well, you're just banging on all the people here.
Yeah, I mean, some takes need to be criticized because Raider Nation is made up of a bunch of dudes that are tough guys. Paulo sounds like a snowflake here. Oh, they're making a hit piece on my Raiders. I mean, come on. I enjoyed that story, by the way, because there were a lot of explanations on why the whole thing is so dysfunctional.
Yes.
The way that Gruden reported on, the GM and the ownership and
the kill videos and
everything else.
So no, they were reporting fact there. And at the end of the day, scoreboard does not lie.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this. What a day. Unbelievable amount of stories. And just around the corner, we got the NFL draft. We're going to be back here on Monday at 1:30. Recap of the draft. You are hereby ordered to enjoy the Laker-Houston playoff game. Go Ducks versus Edmonton. Watch the NHL playoffs. Been spectacular. How about them Padres in the Mile High City getting a victory as they go to Mexico City? Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. 8 locations to serve you in San Diego. And Our Lads Draft Guide. You still have time to place an order. Get the digital version of Our Lads Draft Guide. Then you'll get the draft recap book at the same time before training camps open. John, deep breath. Here comes a lot on a Thursday and Friday. We'll see you come Monday.
I'm going to enjoy the Holy Sheets moment, and then we're going to start with the Raiders on the clock and starting at 5 o'clock.
You enjoy the NFL draft, and thanks for allowing me to wear my Show Me Your Lightning Bolt hoodie. You have yourself a great sports weekend. We'll talk to you come Monday on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.